Hi everyone, I'm Catherine, the artist behind Bigelow Fine Arts. Back to the apples from Kirby Rosanes' Worlds Within Worlds, and I'm actually going to work on an apple today, if you didn't see that from the thumbnail. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps keep you informed of when I post new videos, as well as join in on the color-alongs. I have palettes and timestamps in a Patreon post, so go check that out if you want the whole list of colors. And if you missed out on my free coloring page, be sure to check out the playlist in the cards to get that and color along with me. Subscribing is the best way to learn more about freebies like that. I'm coming in with my sepia and going straight for the shadows. I hit the shadows under the leaf because that one is pretty obvious as the artist already put it in. Then I am heading over to the right side of the apple and shading in the part where it curves away. I feel like the light source is coming from the upper left, and as such, this part of the apple would be darker where it is curving away. I also add in shadows for the bottom as well, as it would also be cast in shadow. I should have taken the shadows all the way around the bottom and back round to the leaf, but I only just noticed that after I started on the next section. I am now coming in with some Naples yellow and adding in yellow to the bottom part of the apple, just to get some color down to hide the white of the paper. I am going for a two-toned apple with yellow and red. I don't know what kind of apple it is, but it appears to be a bit stripy. With the deep scarlet red, I want to go through and put in a light base layer over the entire apple except where I put the yellow already. I do put a little red down into the bottom section, but that is later to help blend the two parts together. With the dark Naples ochre, I come in and add in some of the yellow striping that some apples seem to have. I also add in some to the base to begin building up the shadowed areas and to fill in the paper even more. I am adding in another layer with the light cadmium red, filling in the paper even more and building up the pigment. I am focusing a little more on where the color is going to help with blending. With the dark red, I want to get some of the shadows really filled in as well as try to get that bright red that apples seem to have. I am avoiding the areas where I put the yellow striping for now, but I do try to blend in around the edges. I want to get more shadows down on the bottom part of the apple, and for that I use the dark Naples ochre. I keep it mostly to the bottom and edges of the apple, but I also add in a few stripes going up. I add another layer of the Naples yellow to the stripes to help them stand out a little more against the red. I want to see the yellow, but I don't want it to be stark stripes. I want them to blend together. I do blend up the Naples yellow into the red around the bottom. More light cadmium red as I keep adding in more layers. I also work my way around the yellow stripes and work to blend in the edges a little more. I have also been trying to leave a highlight area on the top left of the apple beside the leaf. I will have to come back and fix it up more. I try to fix it with a layer of cream, but it is already too dark, so I erase it back and then add in some cream. Back to the dark red and the shadows. I am trying to bring up the contrast between the shadows and the rest of the apple, so here I am trying to really get the shadow area dark. I come in with the deep scarlet red to blend the edges and work up more of the apple. More Naples yellow to fill in those stripes to prevent them from getting lost in the red. I also darken up the bottom just a little. I blend the edges with the dark cadmium red. I know there is a line around the bottom, but I don't want the yellow and red parts to be distinct from each other. So I am trying to blend them at the edges. I also go around and blend out the edges of some of the other shadows. The highlight was really bothering me, so I came back in and really erased out most of the pigment I had already laid down. This I felt was the easiest way to really get the effect I wanted. I fill in the highlight with ivory. I use the cream to work up the stripes and blend out the edges more, now being more mindful of the top highlight. Back to the dark red, and I am trying to bring up the contrast even more. The more I can bring up the contrast, the more the highlight will stand out. I blend out the edges with more deep scarlet red, again working around the stripes. I am also trying to pick a point where the highlight ends and the color on the apple is more visible. This will also help the highlight stand out more. If you've made it this far and have enjoyed coloring with me or just watching this apple come to life, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a like and subscribe to stay informed of when I post more videos. It really helps me out. I post 3 times during the week and subscribing is the best way to stay in the loop. Plus, if I post more coloring pages, you'll be one of the first to know. I keep blending with more light cadmium red, working up the edges with the yellow stripes and filling in the bottom of the apple even more. The bottom should be a little darker than the top part, just like the sides should be darker than the front. More Naples yellow to keep filling in the stripes. I don't want them to become muddied and lost in all the red. I'm mostly keeping to the bottom of the apple, as if the stripes are lost as the apple ripens from the top down. More dark Naples ochre to work up the shadowed areas on the bottom yellow area and add more to the stripes. I come back with the deep cadmium yellow for more layers and blending. I am really focused on the edge around the top highlight. This will help it stand out even more. I don't want a harsh edge on it. I want something a little soft and blurry. More shadow work with the deep scarlet red. I'm just not satisfied with how dark, or not dark, these shadows are just yet. That is why I keep coming back to them. Every layer helps, to either fill in the paper, to hide the white, or to deepen the color with more pigment. I'm working on blending and refining. I come in with the pale geranium lake for a color in between some of my other colors to help with the blending more. I want to use it to soften up the blends. More dark red for the shadows, still trying to get them a darker, richer color. I also very lightly go over the yellow highlights with the dark red to blend them in even more. Very lightly. I did just go through all that trouble to make them stand out after all. The top leaf shadow wasn't quite looking right, so I came in with black and added in a little black line art to fill in the gap and to make the shadows more solid and cohesive. I didn't fill in with black, but I just added in lines to kind of match the existing lines from the artist. I can now finish up with dark red to cover and blend it all together. I blend more around the apple to keep darkening up some of the areas that need to be darkened. I use the deep scarlet red to keep blending out the edges and to keep darkening up the apple as a whole. I continue to tighten up the color around the highlight as well, since it is still a little fuzzy and not well formed. I keep refining with more dark cadmium red. The apple is really coming together now. I used more Naples yellow to keep the stripes visible and blend the edges. More for the bottom, too. I touch up more with the dark Naples ochre, both the bottom and the stripes. I add in more ivory over the highlight to give it more layers, then more light cadmium red to tighten up the edge even more. I do a final touching up of the shadows with more pale geranium lake, followed by a pine green. The green desaturates the red and helps make it even darker. I use a light hand because I still want red here. A little more cream for the edges of the highlight. I add in some Naples yellow to touch up a few little spots, and that is done for now. Thanks for joining me for an apple today. Let me know below or on social media if you colored along. I'd love to know how you did. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and Patreon. Patreon has a short write-up, my palettes, and a list of the timestamps, and I've made them available for everyone. If you have any questions or page requests, please leave them below or reach out to me on social media. I put in a list of chapter breaks in the show notes, as well as a list of equipment I like to use. If you use any of my affiliate links, it really helps me out without costing you a thing. I want to thank you all so much for coming along and joining in with me on this coloring journey. I appreciate all my subscribers and look forward to more of you joining in and coloring along with me. Please like, share, and subscribe to help that happen. Until next time, happy coloring.